What would you do if I told you that the life you have been living for years does not actually belong to you? Would your chest tighten, or would you quietly bow your head and say, I already knew? Even though exhaustion had seeped into your bones, you smiled and carried on. Just so the people around you wouldn't be inconvenienced. You suppressed everything boiling inside you under a heavy lid. Because the fear of being unloved, that ancient and treacherous fear, has already settled deep within you. Even in the moments when you were shattered into pieces, you said, I'm fine. Just to be accepted, you chipped away at your own desires day by day. You buried your true self deep down just in case someone might not like you. And in this constant state of effort, without even realizing it, you drifted further and further away from yourself. But who were you when no one was watching? Haven't you numbed your own desires while breathing in the shadow of others' expectations? Haven't you already lost yourself in the name of not disturbing anyone? On that road you took just to be accepted, haven't you faded away step by step? But today, everything can change. Today is the day to shatter those old molds. Today is the day to return to yourself. In this presentation, the ancient and unwavering wisdom of Stoic philosophy will teach you this. To embrace solitude not with trembling as a weakness, but as a fortress of strength. And, under the guidance of Stoicism, it will show you how to build an authentic life centered on you, stone by stone. You do not need anyone's permission to be yourself. For a sense of wholeness, you only need one single decision, to stop living a borrowed life. Are you ready? But before we begin, know this. Be prepared to face a truth that perhaps no one has ever thrown in your face until now. This truth, the moment it is heard, can bring every layer you have suppressed for years to the surface. This is not a question. It is a mirror. And in that mirror, everyone sees their own reflection differently. In this presentation, everyone will find their own answer. But first, a story. His name was Arthur, a 43-year-old watchmaker. That little workshop stood right there in the heart of the neighborhood. Everyone passed by it, but few truly saw what was inside. Every morning, he opened the shutters at the exact same time. Every day, he prepared his workbench in the exact same order. Quiet, organized, neat, everything in its proper place. Just like his life. For an outsider looking in, it was a beautiful scene. A small but honorable craft. Amidst the tick-tock rhythm of gear-driven clocks. But inside, something was missing. Something crucial and irreplaceable. Arthur's own voice. There was not a single decision in his life that he had made for himself. When high school ended, he had wanted to go to college. He was told, you need to pitch in at your brother's business, there's no one else. His father fell ill, he took care of him. The workshop went up for sale, he took it over under the pressure of, the family legacy must not be lost. He got married because his social circle deemed it appropriate, but that marriage didn't turn out the way he wanted, either. And so the years flowed by, a pile of unchosen decisions, each stacking on top of the other. One day, an old man walked into the workshop. His face was tired, his voice hoarse, his hands slightly trembling. I brought a wristwatch, he said. Not to be fixed. I just want it to run one more time. Just to hear its tick-tock sound once more. Then it can go. Arthur did a standard check and began to diagnose the problem. But the man stopped him. There's no rush, he said. Just repair it by thinking about how that watch works. Not like a mechanical duty, but as if you value it. Arthur suddenly stopped while his hands were working. What did it mean to repair something by valuing it? Everything he did was always according to a measure, a norm, an obligation. But to approach something with care and value, what kind of state of mind was that? As the man was walking out the door, he turned and briefly said, Master craftsman, treat your own hands the same way. That day, Arthur just sat in his workshop. For a long time. Then he took the oldest watch with the most complex mechanism from the shelf. He dismantled it from scratch. He examined every gear, every spring, every pinion tooth one by one. Not with any rush, but as if he owed a debt to that watch. When he finished, looking at that small object on the workbench, He felt proud for the first time. Not because someone ordered it, not because anyone expected it, but simply because he had brought it back to life with his own hands. That night, he came across a quote by Marcus Aurelius. It read, "Dig deep within yourself, for there is the fountain of goodness, and it will ever bubble up if you will but dig." Arthur froze. He realized, 4 years, he had been waiting for someone to come, see him, and say, "You exist too." Yet everyone around him had already seen him. The truly blind one was himself. What was genuinely missing was his own perspective. From that day on, every morning when he opens the workshop, he dismantles and repairs a mechanism just for himself. No one ordered it. No one expects it. But he does it for himself. Arthur is still on the same street, in the same workshop. But inside, there is someone else now. Because once you dare to ask the question, "What do I want?" even the silence begins to gain meaning. Principle 1. Are you living, or are you just conforming? Answer honestly. Have you ever laughed out loud when you didn't really want to smile? Stayed somewhere you didn't want to be, just so you wouldn't look weird? Said yes on the outside when your inner voice was screaming no, just to avoid causing disappointment? If the answer to these questions is yes, let's tell the truth. You are not living. You are just conforming. It might sound innocent, even like a virtue, but the price is heavy. Conforming means shrinking yourself step by step. It is pushing your tastes, your ideas, and your very identity aside. And after a certain point, you can no longer even distinguish whether you genuinely want the things you do. Because you have been playing a role for so long that your true desires are now silently buried. Identity and psychology expert Rafa Gare expresses this sharply. If we don't have a solidly built identity, we constantly look outward to understand how to behave. And that is when it happens. Others become your compass. They dictate what you will wear, what you will think, what you will love. Without even realizing it, you drift away from yourself. So how will you break this cycle? Look at Epictetus. The great Stoic thinker who was a slave his entire life, lived devoid of physical freedom, yet grasped the true meaning of freedom. Memorize his words. If you want to be free, stop desiring things that are not within your control. And he was absolutely right. As long as your need for approval continues, as long as you live for the silhouette reflected in others' retinas rather than for yourself, constantly worrying, "Am I doing it right?" While seeking appreciation and validation, you become a slave. A slave to their gazes, their comments, and even their silence. But here comes the most important point. This Stoic teaching is not just some ordinary nice quote. It is the true architecture of inner peace. Because only when you rid yourself of the need for approval can you hear your own voice. Only when you stop conforming can you truly begin to live a consistent life. And only when you give up the search for validation do you discover the most valuable truth. You don't need anyone to feel complete. Principle 2. Your greatest opponent is yourself. Imagine you are in an obstacle course. In front of you is a giant wall, a slippery rope, a narrow tunnel. At every step, someone appears before you. They block your path. Just as you are about to pass, they jump in front of you. You can't see their face, just a silhouette. This makes the despair even sharper. You try to overcome it. You change direction, but to no avail. At every turn, they are in front of you again. Sweat pours down your back. Your breath grows short. Inside, you are just screaming, "I just want a tiny gap. One opportunity." But there is none. And finally, that silhouette turns its face. The person standing before you is you. You were the one laying down those obstacles all along. Perhaps now you are protesting, "But how can I be hindering myself when I want to be myself?" In the past, there were others holding you back, yes. But be honest, the voice that froze you the most was always your own. The greatest barricade is inside. That voice will take the reins of your life if you don't unmask it. Stop and ask yourself, why haven't you signed up for that course yet? Why haven't you started that project? Why haven't you taken a step into that sport? Did you really not have the time? Or did a responsibility, an excuse, an obligation crop up every single time? You pasted the label responsibility on all of these. But do you know what hides beneath it? Fear. The fear of not doing it perfectly. The fear of failing. The fear of disappointing yourself. Right here is where Marcus Aurelius steps in. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. If you feed your mind with doubt, procrastination, and "I'll do it later" every single day, your soul will also sprout in the soil of delay and surrender. What is the first step to learning how to live for yourself without depending on anyone else? Recognizing that inner resistance, confronting it, and ensuring that the decisions are now made by you, not by it. Remember, this battle is not against the outside, but against the inside. Against that little voice. Against that side of you that wants everything but refuses to move an inch. And I am not exaggerating. Learning to recognize that side of you is to unlock the greatest door to inner peace. The next time you say, "I can't," whisper this under your breath, or "I just don't want to try hard enough." This sentence sounds bitter, but it forces you to face the truth. It leads you to the naked reality behind the excuses. Yes, it hurts, but it liberates. One final piece of advice: do something that only you will love. Truly just you. Something you won't post on social media, something you aren't worried about anyone commenting on. Lift a dumbbell, carve a stone, dismantle an old stopwatch. Fix something while listening to 90s music. Whatever it is. But let it be yours. And don't delay it. Do it this week. It could even be today. 10 minutes is enough. Because waiting for the perfect time is the classic trap of your inner saboteur. It constantly offers you the promise of a little later. But that little later never comes. You don't need to conquer the world. You just need to silence that voice inside that freezes you. And when you achieve this, you will feel truly free for the very first time. Principle 3. Hear what your body is screaming at you. When did you forget that your body could speak? Perhaps when you opened your eyes that morning with a headache. Or when something felt tight inside you, and you brushed it off saying, "It must be from lack of sleep." Perhaps it was when you started seeing your body not as a vessel, but merely as a machine that must do its job. Without realizing it was tired. Without caring about its signals. You just kept going. But the body does not stay silent. It speaks not with words, but with sensations. And as you continue to suppress it with your mind, the body begins to scream louder and louder. Tension, palpitations, a stomach tied in knots, a tightness in your chest that makes you forget to breathe. These are all screams. Notice me. In short, you cannot say some things with your tongue, but the body speaks. First it whispers. If you don't hear it, it shouts. A moment I experienced during the holidays a few years ago is the most striking example of this. I've lived in the same neighborhood for almost 30 years. Our next-door neighbor was a man like a father to me. Every door in that house was open to us. His son had been like an older brother to me since childhood. We grew up at the same dinner tables. About 4 years ago, that older brother's wife passed away. After that, he relapsed into an old addiction. Then, due to some choices he made, he went to prison. He is still inside. During the holidays, I went to visit our neighbor. When he opened the door, my chest suddenly tightened. That familiar light in his eyes was gone. He didn't lose his smile, but when I looked long and hard at his face, I realized he was carrying a giant weight behind his eyes. It was as if he wasn't just breathing, but living a pain that had been silenced for years right there. We talked. We had tea. We talked about the old days. But that man never said, "It's hard." He never said, "I can't take it." Only his shoulders had slumped. His walk had grown heavy. There was a slight tremor in his hands. And while he tried to say, "I'm fine" with his every move, his body was screaming the exact opposite. That was the moment I realized this again. Don't assume people aren't suffering just because they aren't crying. Pain deepens the most when it is not put into words but hidden in the body. The body is not merely a vessel. It is the first witness to every emotion you suppress. Every silence, every postponed rebellion, every "if only" you swallowed builds up. And if you don't even try to notice, one day the body will speak for you. Through exhaustion, through pain, through illness, through burnout. The Stoics were not wrong about this. Seneca once said, "The body should be treated rigorously, that it may not be disobedient to the mind. But be careful, this submission is not suppression. True power is being able to listen to your body." So how do you learn this? Do a quick body scan at the end of each day. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, where is there tension in my body? Which moment I experienced today might have triggered this discomfort? Answer this not with logic, but with feeling. Because sometimes the body already knows what the mind hasn't yet realized. And drop that automatic "I'm fine" response now. Do a genuine internal check. How is my chest right now? Are my shoulders loose or tight? Is my stomach relaxed or in knots? Because if you don't know how you are, you won't know what you need. You don't need to be an expert on this. Treat your body not like a tool, but the way you would approach someone you care about. Because your body is not just a vessel. It is the most honest guide on your inner journey. The body is like a GPS. If you ignore its warnings, you will find yourself in a place you don't want to be. But if you listen to it, you can finally arrive where you want to be. At yourself. Principle 4. Learn to be alone, but not with emptiness. A table for one. A tray with your favorite meal. A documentary you've wanted to watch for a long time. And nobody else. It seems simple, doesn't it? But for many people, this scene feels like a genuine threat. The reason isn't that someone is missing. The real issue is this: they don't know what to do when the silence comes. There are some men, they carry the burdens of others, solve problems, and are there for everyone. But they don't know how to keep themselves company. They laugh with others. But when they are left alone, their tolerance runs out. They converse for hours, but can't last 5 minutes without looking at their phone. Of course, being with people is not a bad thing. What is dangerous is this: feeling incomplete when you are left alone. Because if you can't cope with yourself, it means your inner wholeness has cracked. Actor Keanu Reeves knows this well. Even though he is one of the most recognizable silhouettes in Hollywood, his life is woven with tragedies. He has lost people he loved. But he has learned to find not a punishment, but a sanctuary in solitude. You can see him walking alone, sitting on a bench, eating by himself. Not as if he is lost. On the contrary, fulfilled and calm. Because he has learned to be with himself. And in this era, that is almost a superpower. A sentence by psychologist Sylvia Congest blew my mind. Loneliness doesn't hurt. What truly hurts is the state of not being able to be with yourself. And Epictetus voiced the same truth centuries ago. Someone who values themselves never feels lonely. If you know who you are, if you have built a healthy bridge with yourself, you feel wholeness, not emptiness, when you are alone. Because being with yourself is enough for you. Imagine yourself in a situation like this. It is the last day of the week. You have left a long and heavy week behind. Maybe you worked, maybe you just mentally exhausted yourself. You have an empty evening ahead of you. That familiar restlessness slowly approaches. Should I call someone, go out somewhere, distract myself with something? You think. But what if you did nothing this time? Just sit in a cafe you like. Order yourself a coffee. Open a book. Or take a small notebook out of your pocket and write whatever comes to you in that moment. Not to tell anyone anything. Just to hear yourself. It might feel uncomfortable the first time. But when you repeat it a few times, something begins to change. You start getting used to yourself. And right at that moment, you step one step closer to the secret of inner peace. I suggest a small exercise. Make a list of activities that make you happy. Walking, old movies, trying a new recipe, going into a bookstore, taking photos, drinking coffee in silence. Whatever it is, things that truly nourish you. Choose one of them this week. But consider this a date with yourself, not with someone else. No excuses. And don't do it just to have done it. Observe yourself while doing it. Do you feel weird? Like you're being judged? Observe these very feelings. Because every time you cross that threshold, you are exercising your freedom muscles. Do it once a week. Write it in your planner. Not as a filler, but as a priority. And one day, when that familiar feeling of emptiness returns, remind yourself of this. You don't need anyone to feel complete. All you need is to make peace with yourself. Because once you find peace in your own presence, you stop looking for a place in the crowds trying to console you. From that moment on, you truly begin to live for yourself. Principle 5. Use your hands, calm your soul. Imagine a wood workshop. On the edge of the woods. A light rain outside. Quiet inside. A raw piece of wood or a handful of clay on the workbench. Maybe just a charcoal pencil. No rush. It's just you. You use your hands. And without even realizing it, something begins to take shape. Right at that moment, everything stops. The world pulling you in every direction ends. And yes, this is not magic. This is your very existence. When you create something with your hands, an effect emerges that very few things can achieve. You encounter yourself once again. Not the version others expect of you, but your true self. And in that moment of focus, without realizing it, you begin to live for yourself. We think peace comes with great achievements. But what if the calmness you seek is hidden not in a victory parade, but in silently kneading dough, clumsily sketching, or tightening a screw? It doesn't sound epic, I know. But it's the truth. I didn't know it either. Until one day, I was kneading dough for a recipe without being in a hurry. For that half hour, my mind was completely silent. No anxiety, no social media, no dramatic stream of thoughts. Just floury hands, resisting dough, and a mind that finally learned to be quiet. In that moment, I understood what Seneca meant. We concern ourselves with what is in our power. The rest is out of our hands. So when you create something, you take back control. Not the world's control over you, but your control over yourself. You say, "This belongs to me. I am making this. I chose this." And that simple connection begins to heal you. So, would you too like to rest your soul by making something with your hands? Here is the first step. Don't look for a passion right away. Start with what you have on hand. Do you want to draw, even if you draw badly? Draw. Fix things. Do it. Work with soil. Cook, sew something. Try whatever interests you. But there is a strict rule. The phone is away. If you are creating something while watching TikTok, sorry, it doesn't count. Let me give you a technique, the anti-anxiety production method. Pick a craft you like. Put on some calming music. Close your door. Be alone with it for 30 minutes. Does it look good? Will it work? Will someone like it? Don't think about any of these. The process is important, not the result. Because when the body moves, the noise of the mind quiets down. And right then, the power is yours again. If you are saying to yourself, "But I'm not good at any of them," I must tell you this. None of us were born mastering something. But we were all born suited to create. You don't need to be an artist. You don't need to make money or show it to others. Just give yourself permission. Because creating is also healing. It is a form of taking care of yourself. If you have been looking for peace, focus, and clarity for a long time, start here. When you start using your hands for yourself, your soul no longer has to scream. Because you finally begin to hear it. Principle 6. Who is really making your decisions? I am sorry, but I have to say this directly. You are living your life like a journey where you hold the steering wheel, but someone else is driving the car. You pretend to be steering, but in reality, you are merely reacting to what happens. It is as if the important decisions have already been made, and all that is left for you is to say, "What can we do? It's fate." But wait a minute. Is that really true? Or is that just what you were told? Because many men think they are choosing their own lives, when in fact, they are only submitting to their family, to their social circle, to the invisible pressure of society, to the fear of what people will say, studying subjects that do not interest them, breathing in jobs they hate, continuing session after session with people who drain them, and doing all of this without questioning any of it. As speaker Borja Villaseca said, "To mature is to realize that no one is coming to save you." And this is good news. Yes, it might hurt at first, because when you are truly at the wheel, if you take a wrong turn, you are the one who has to change the direction. But the truth is this: you only begin to live for yourself when you take back control. And no, this is not selfishness. As Epictetus said, no external thing has power over you, unless you give it that power. So if you give your power to others, where will you seek inner peace? So where do you start? First suggestion: try a radical day. Live today solely for yourself. Wear what you want to wear. Eat what you feel like eating. Talk to whoever you want to talk to. Spend your time exactly how you want to spend it. At the end of the day, ask yourself, did I feel uncomfortable or free? Second step: an X-ray of your decisions. Grab a pen and paper. Write down 3 major decisions you have made recently. It could be moving, changing jobs, or starting or ending a relationship. Then, honestly write this next to each of them. Did I want this? Or did someone expect it of me? And try this too. Flip a coin. But not to act on the result. Pay attention to what you are secretly hoping for inside during that brief moment the coin is spinning in the air. Because that momentary internal tremble shows you what the mind cannot see. The body knows before the mind does. If you are still undecided, ask this question: if I choose this path, where will I be in 10 years? And more importantly, who chose this path? The answer to this question might shake you, but it can also give you wings. The issue is not always finding the right thing. The issue is being able to make a choice. Because even if a mistake is made, at least that mistake is yours. It is far more honorable to fall on your own path than to walk with regret on a path paved by others. If you make a decision for yourself today, even in just one small thing, you step one step closer to a life that belongs to you. And believe me, this is also peace. The most precious kind. The peace of living by your own decisions. Principle 7. Change the voice you use to speak to yourself. I need to tell you a bitter truth. You are ruthless, but not to others, to yourself. You are understanding, patient, and forgiving towards others. But when it comes to you, you instantly turn into a harsh judge. The moment you make a mistake, you grab the whip. I can't do anything right anyway. I always make the same mistakes. It has happened to almost all of us. You walk into the grocery store. You have 2 things in your mind with crystal clarity: bread and eggs. You are just going to grab them and leave. But when you get to the register, your basket is full. Chips. A box of chocolates. A thermos you liked the color of. Something else you didn't need at all. And right as you walk out the door, you realize, no bread, no eggs. And in that moment, the inner voice begins. How could you possibly forget the exact things you needed? You are truly useless. You might be smiling right now, because this has happened to you too. But what would you do if someone from the outside spoke to you like this? You would stay away. You would set boundaries. But because that voice comes from the inside, you silently accept it. Yet you shouldn't, because every word you say to yourself shapes your world. And when every sentence is a blow, you cannot build peace. Imagine, Marcus Aurelius opens his morning journal and writes this: "I am a total disaster. Today is going to be a bad day too." Can you imagine that? Of course not. Because he knew, peace depends not on the external world, but on your internal interpretation. That is why he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Your internal language determines not only your mood, but also your behavior and your performance. If you say to yourself with every attempt, "I can't do it anyway, I'll definitely mess it up," where will motivation and confidence come from? This is not about artificial affirmations. It is about treating yourself the way you treat someone you love. Because you deserve respect, too. So what can you do to change that voice? The mirror dialogue. Look in a mirror and say the things to yourself that you would say to your best friend. Forgetting is human. You deserve to rest today. You are doing the best you can. Now think about it. How different are these words from what you normally say to yourself? One more technique. Change the narrator. What if Marcus Aurelius were narrating your life? Or the wise version of you from years in the future? When the tone changes, the story changes too. And yes, it is not easy to change that inner voice. But hasn't the time come to give it a vacation? That constant tension, that automatic judgment, that criticism disguised as self-improvement is not serving you. It is only distancing you from the thing you need the most: peace, calm, self-respect. Principle 8. Stop carrying the burdens you no longer need. A legend is told. Years ago, two monks were walking silently toward their temple. They had been on the road for days. When they reached a river, they encountered an anxious traveler, elegantly dressed, who could not cross the fiercely flowing water. The young monk took a step back. According to their rules, such assistance was forbidden. But the old monk, without any hesitation, picked the person up in his arms, crossed the river, and set them down on the opposite shore. Without saying a single word, they continued on their way. Hours passed. They walked through forests. They climbed mountains. As it was starting to get dark, the young monk burst out, "How could you break that rule?" The old monk stopped. With a calm smile on his face, he said, "I left that person on the riverbank hours ago. But you are still carrying them. Did you notice? The one who actually picked them up had let go long ago. But the one who hadn't touched them at all was still carrying them in his mind." It happens like this in life, too. It might be a chapter that closed long ago, but you might still be carrying it on your shoulder. An unspoken word, an unlived moment of courage, an insult you heard, a choice you couldn't make. I'm guessing you are still backing yourself into a corner over something you did or didn't do years ago. Perhaps a sentence someone said to you is still spinning in your mind: "I am inadequate. I always make mistakes. I can never do it." And you are carrying not only your own burdens, but also the ones others left behind. Do you know what this means? Giving up on yourself. Because in every moment you choose to carry the burden of the past, you are refusing to make room for the new. You are saying, "Even if it hurts, at least let this familiar thing stay." Seneca was very clear about this. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. And letting go is exactly this kind of thing. But once you dare, you realize, the weight wasn't as heavy as you thought. What crushed you wasn't the past itself, it was your refusal to let it go. So what can you do? First step, write everything down. Pour out onto paper whatever is dragging you down. No filter. It could be a person, a memory, a belief, a feeling of guilt. Write them all. Then place this question next to each one. Is this taking me forward or pulling me back? If the answer is back, stop feeding it. You don't need to uproot it entirely. Just stop watering it. Second step, perform a farewell ritual. Write a letter to that old thing, that burden, that thing gnawing at you from the inside. Pour your heart out, not to send it, but to empty yourself. Then burn it. Tear it up. Bury it. Do whatever you want. Because the body wants physical signs. When it says, I have finally let go, it wants to feel it, too. One final shift in perspective. Instead of asking, why can't I let go? Ask this. If I let go, what space will open up? Because the things that no longer serve you don't just take away your past. They take away your energy, your focus, and your clarity. Sometimes, leaving something behind is not losing it. It is reclaiming the space it stole from you. Letting go takes courage, because it is not erasing something. It is trusting that you can keep going without it. And this is one of the most forgotten secrets of inner peace. You don't have to carry everything with you. Only take the things that are good for you, the things that carry you forward. Leave the rest by the side of the road and keep walking. Principle 9. Stay with those who bring you peace. Walk away from those who create noise. Think of your life as a grand journey. Throughout the day, you encounter people, you talk, you listen. But not every encounter adds something to you. Some are good for you. They relax you, strengthen you, and leave a genuine smile on your face. When you are with them, you feel lighter, more real, more grounded. But there are some who, without even realizing it, chip away at you. After every conversation, something inside you diminishes. Your self-confidence cracks. Your patience runs out. Your joy for life fades. What weighs heavily is not what they say, but how they make you feel. When you part ways with them, you are tired, you are sad, but you cannot even fully explain why. The truth is this: not every companion is good company. You must have experienced feeling lonelier and more exhausted while surrounded by crowds. Because not every relationship is valuable. Sometimes, the greatest love is being able to set a healthy distance. Now think about it. You are going to meet an acquaintance. You don't really want to, but you say yes just so they won't misunderstand or get offended. You go. The conversations are familiar. The same troubles, the same insinuations, the half-finished sentences. You find yourself trying to explain things. But inside, you are only thinking this. What am I still doing here? A Stoic knows this well. Inner peace begins with properly filtering out external noises. If your environment is stormy, your inside can never calm down. That is why, if you have decided to live for yourself, the first step must be to reevaluate your circle. Take a simple test. Think of the 5 people you interact with the most this week. Write down their names. And next to them, add just one word. Do they energize you, or do they drain you? The answer might hurt, but it opens your eyes. And remember, you do not have to answer every message. If someone is not good for you, don't reply immediately. Put the phone away. Give yourself a day. Sometimes, even just a few hours of distance can radically change your mood. Because being constantly accessible is slowly surrendering your own space. Use a Stoic filter. Who is good for you? Who takes away from you? Who do you feel refreshed after talking to? Who do you feel drained after talking to? This doesn't just apply to friends. It applies to family members, old pals, and social circles that no longer reflect who you are. Every relationship you maintain out of guilt or habit pushes you a little further away from yourself. And I'm guessing, as you read these words, a name has already come to mind. Because talking to some people is truly like running a marathon. This is not love. This is emotional cardio. And you are not here for that. Build bonds that bring you closer to yourself, that are good for your soul, and that genuinely strengthen you. This is one of the most critical secrets of inner peace. Principle 10. Not everyone deserves a place in your mind. Think of your mind like a house. But not just an ordinary house. It is your most sacred space, housing your dreams, your ideas, your doubts, and your peace. Ask yourself this: would you open the door of this house to just anyone? Would you invite someone in who arrived with muddy shoes, yelling, and spewing non-stop criticism and complaints? But that is exactly what you are doing. When you replay someone's meaningless criticism in your head over and over, when you carry a passive-aggressive comment on your shoulders all day, when you give weight to the words of someone who doesn't value you as if they were the absolute truth, you are pulling up a chair for that person in your mind. And without them having any responsibilities, no less. And no, this doesn't mean you should plug your ears to everything. I am not saying ignore every comment. But you need a filter. Because not everything said deserves to be analyzed, and not every opinion deserves to be considered. As Marcus Aurelius said, watch carefully what you think about every day, just as you would watch a sacred fire. Because if everyone blows on that fire, eventually you will be extinguished. A story an acquaintance recently told me has stuck in my mind. A man couldn't stop asking his partner where she was every hour. Why didn't you text? Did you forget me? Are you mad? There was no malice in his intentions, but at the root of it lay deep anxiety and a fear of abandonment. He believed that if he kept everything under control, he wouldn't be abandoned. But in the end, that person left anyway, and what remained was silence. In that silence, the man realized something. His mind had been filled with someone else's voice for years. He had rented out his entire internal space to someone else. He had left no room for himself. Living for yourself is not just acting alone. It is also choosing what you allow into your mind. And this is one of the true secrets of inner peace. Let me clarify with an example. You are having a peaceful evening. You are sharing something online or with a group. Someone writes, "You've always been like this anyway." And suddenly, that tranquility collapses. Your stomach turns to stone. In that moment, learn to do this. Take a deep breath. Treat that message like any other notification. Swipe it. Move on. Don't engage in an argument. Don't explain yourself. Don't carry it in your mind all day. Because your inner peace is far more valuable than giving a clever reply. When you hear that criticism gnawing at you, ask yourself, is this person paying rent in my mind? Do they have a real place in my life? If the answer is no, why are you making so much room for them? Your mind is not an Airbnb. You don't have to accept everyone who comes along. Most people don't leave a legacy. They make a mess, walk out, and leave you alone with the chaos. That is exactly why you must learn to close that door. Because as paradoxical as it may seem, the moment you close that door, the real journey begins. The journey of living without depending on others. Principle 11. Forgive, but do it for yourself. I apologize in advance, because the questions I am about to ask will hurt a little. Are you still thinking about that person who hurt you? Do you replay that moment, those spoken words, over and over in your head? Are you still having silent conversations in your mind, thinking, I wish I had said this? If your answer is yes, you are not alone. But peace is also very far from you. No one is saying that forgiving is easy. You don't have to justify what happened, nor do you have to forget it. We are only proposing this. Stop carrying a pain that no longer serves you in any way. Because giving mental control to someone today just because they did something to you years ago is punishing yourself a second time. If you are asking, why should I forgive? The answer is simple. The person who hurt you cannot control your soul, unless you allow them to. But when you keep that anger and pain alive every single day, you are doing exactly that. You are still making room for them in your life. Listen to these words by psychologist Monica Gutierrez. Forgiveness is a special act that liberates not the forgiven, but the forgiver. In other words, the person you forgave might never know it, but you will notice it. Something inside you will lighten. Because forgiving is not fixing the past. It is the key to being able to establish peace today. So how do you do it? Set aside half an hour for yourself. Close your door. Quiet the room. Sit on the floor or on your bed. Take a pen and paper. Turn to yourself, not to screens. Start writing. Everything passing through your heart. Who was that person? What happened? What did you feel? What broke you? What couldn't you say? What emotions were buried inside you? But don't stop there. Continue. What did this pain cost you? How did it restrict your freedom? How did it shape your life? And finally, write this sentence. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. When you finish writing, sit in silence for a while. Then slowly tear that paper into pieces. Let every piece be a symbol that the bond is finally broken. Burn it if you want. Bury it if you want. But make your body feel it too. It is over now. Do not take this ritual lightly. This is not some self-help activity. This is a real way to let go of that weight on your chest. This is about saving today, not the past. Because if you don't forgive, you stay stuck there. It's as if the video is paused, and on the worst frame, too. And no one is pressing the play button. Remember, some people do not even deserve your anger. The clearest and most honorable response you can give them is to move forward silently, without saying a word. A bird born in a cage sees flying not as freedom, but as a threat. Because it assumes whatever it has seen its entire life is the truth. Just like you, before listening to this presentation. Over time, you mistook the chains restricting you for your character. You didn't build that cage, perhaps, but you chose to stay in it. As Marcus Aurelius said, a man who does not respect his own soul can never find happiness. And that is exactly why you must finally notice the door to that cage, and step out. Because no one is coming to get you out of there anymore. No one is going to say, it's your turn. Life will not change without your permission. The only person who can open that door from the inside is you. And you have always held that key. You just thought it was in the hands of others. Thank you for taking the time for this journey. But the real thanks goes to you, for daring to stop, to listen, and perhaps for the very first time, to look at yourself honestly. Because this step is an invisible, silent, yet profoundly real act of courage. And courage is always rewarded, most often from within.